Hi everyone, it's Jan, and I wanted to take an opportunity and share a little mini album I've been working on this weekend. A friend of mine is coming to town. Actually, she is the wife of the gentleman that owns the company that I work for, and I believe she's coming to Nashville for the very first time. And so while we're going to be doing a lot of work while he's here, I am going to try and make sure that she gets out and sees the sights of Nashville, and I wanted her to have a little place to put some of those memories. So I've been working on this weekend, and I wanted to let you know that I really have done 90% of this today because I know that we're all particularly pressed for time, and so I'm going to show you some of the little tricks that I did to get it all done this weekend. So here is the cover, and the front of this, the nameplate is one of the Tim Holtz Alterations dies, one of the labels, and I covered it with this really cool wood grain paper that I made. You know, the other day I was telling you how I'd been playing around with the Fiskars Texture Plates to make some different texturized paper, and when I learned how to make this one, I decided it was going to have to go in a mini. And at the end of this, I'm going to show you how I made that. So stay tuned. The title I actually created with the Cricut Destinations cartridge. It has so many really cool things on it, and I cut this shape out and then just took the arch off. And these are some of those mega distressed flowers that I did a few days ago. So here we go. Over here I have I downloaded a vintage Nashville postcard from the internet and made just a little fold out card here where she can put some journaling and some pictures. And this is one of those tricks that I did. Every page has the exact same configuration. There's a blank page over here that I've put some sort of place for a photograph, and then I made a little pocket with some of that wood grain, and I took whatever paper I had over here and did a little edging strip on it. So very quickly it has a really cool look to it, but it's something you can recreate really easily. And that's something that when you're trying to put something together quickly, even though you're using a different papers and that sort of thing, you can get a pretty cool look. These are a couple of tags that I did some glimmer misting and some stamping, and then on the backs I just used the paper that was in this particular set of papers, which I do believe is the K & Company Ancestry line. Then the other thing that I did was I did something simple on the back of each page here and added a little charm on each page. This is just some paper that I ran through that crimper and added just a little bit of collage and a stamp on here, and it really dresses it up. Again, you'll see this is the paper from over here, and these are some pieces from Vintage Findings, Making Memories Vintage Findings, and made a tag for that. On this page, what I did for this was I used the Stampin' Up! Top Note shape and cut it out of just some thin chipboard and put this down, and then put my embossing ink, and this is Distress embossing powder in the Tattered Rose, I believe it is. And then this, you know, I made my own stencil. I had cut it out of my wood grain paper. I had used the Tim Holtz Flourishes die and cut it out, and then you'll see I just put this down and used dauber paint over it. So again, very quick, but it makes a nice little touch. Here on this side is Again, some things from the Vintage Findings. And again, you'll see I just did the border with the paper. This was another vintage Tennessee image that I found. And these are the tags. I'm not putting them in right now because they're still drying, but just did some stamping. This is the vintage label from Stampin' Up. And I am so excited. I have found the best Stampin' Up demonstrator here on YouTube. I know that there are many wonderful Stampin' Up demonstrators, but the one that I am now working with is Boxtet, and I will put her YouTube name up. She is just so creative and just delightful to work with. And I got the vintage labels during the celebration from Stampin'. Then this is the last page, and this is that flourish that I cut out of the wood grain. And again, when you're needing to do something fairly quickly, using the same patterns over and over again make that much simpler. And I've left this up so that she could slip a picture underneath here. This is a Prima flower that I distressed by using my rub and buff and then put some distressed rock candy stickles on it. And just even those little touches just make it so personalized. Okay, and here are the last three tags. And this is that spray technique that I showed you a tutorial on maybe a week or so ago, where I put the distress inks down on my craft mat and then sprayed them with Glimmer Mist, and I just think it makes such cool backgrounds. And just did a simple stamp over each of those and then put some journaling on the back. So, and then the back page has my little signature on it. So really and truly, this was very quick to put together. And if you'll stay tuned, I'm going to show you how I made this really cool wood grain paper. Okay, so I promised to tell you or show you how I made this really cool wood grain textured paper. And it's really simple, and I know that you will want to do it for yourself. I used this Fiskars Texture Plate, and I have a Cuttlebug, and I had heard that you could use these texture plates with your Cuttlebug, and you can. And the sandwich that you need to do that is you need your A plate, your C plate. So you put your A plate, you put your Fiskars Texture Plate, you put your paper, and then this is one of the tan Spellbinders mats, and then you put your C plate, and you run that through your Cuttlebug, and you end up with this really cool textured paper. Still doesn't look very much like wood grain. So I turn to my Glimmer Mists, and here's my lovely spray box with paper towels in the bottom. You don't want to use just browns. We ultimately want to get to brown, but you want some of the undertones of the paper that you're going to be doing. And so I used patina. I know that looks like a lot of blue, but trust me. And I used some sunflower. Beginning to get a little more. And I used burnt red. And then we're going to go really deep with tattered leather. And you'll notice that I'm not really taking time and letting it dry in between. This last coat of the darkest brown that you have, you want to put on pretty thick. And you end up with this really cool wood grain.